going to complete the multiple choice questions, 60 of them for the June 2024 paper 1 in biology. Let's start with question 1. Which of the following features is used to classify a group of organisms as class Insecta? That will be the number of segments. Question 2. Living organisms such as plants are affected by abiotic factors which determine where they become established. Which of the following lists contains some of these determining factors? Read through the list carefully. Abiotic factors are non-living factors, and abiotic is in capital letters. So you are looking at sunlight availability, soil pH, and minerals. B is the answer. Question 3. Which of the following correctly defines a niche and a habitat? A niche is the role or the job an organism has where it lives, and the habitat is the place where it lives, meaning its home. So A is the answer for number 3. Question 4 and 5 refer to the following food chains which show the feeding relationship in a freshwater lake. We have algae eaten by larvae, eaten by Eve, eaten by pike. Which organism in the food chain is the secondary consumer? So we have the producer, the larvae is the primary consumer, the eel is the secondary consumer, which makes the answer for number 4. A. On to number 5. Which of the following organisms in the food chain is a herbivore? That will be D, the larvae. It's eating the producer. Question 6. A farmer notices pink mealybugs in his garden. He is advised to introduce the ladybird beetle to control the mealybug. The type of relationship between the mealybug and the ladybird beetle is described as predator-prey. B. 7. Approximately 10% of the energy stored in food is available to the next organism in the food chain because most of the energy is lost as heat during the process of respiration. Question 8. Animals that are at the end of a food chain and that feed on dead and decaying organisms are called decomposers. The greatest threat to the survival of coral reef is the increased ocean temperatures. So for number 9. B. Number 10. Replanting trees on a bare hillside is an example of. Read through the answers. If we are replanting, it means reforestation and restoration. On to question 11, which refers to the graph that illustrates population growth. Phase 4 of the graph is most likely due to, we see there's a dip in the population at phase 4. Competition from invasive species. 11 is D. 12. Which of the following structures is found only in plant cells? This is a giveaway mark. It's always chloroplast. 13. Which of the following comparisons between the cell wall and the cell membrane is not correct? We are looking for the one that's incorrect. Incorrect is in capital letters. So found in both plant and animal cells, well, that already is not true. So we could select A as our answer. Question 14 refers to the following diagram, which shows a xylem vessel. The major factor, major is in bold letters. The major feature that is responsible for the rigid structure in the xylem vessel is the lignin. A is our answer. Question 15. In which of the following biological processes is diffusion involved? Is it food absorption, urine formation, or gaseous exchange. We do have food absorption, urine formation, gaseous exchange, yes. So we are looking for 1 and 3. Means we are here. Item 16 refers to the following diagram, which represents a metabolic process carried out in plants. And looking at it, we could see that this process is photosynthesis. The food produced it will be glucose, oxygen, and glucose are the products of photosynthesis. The answer is C. Question 17 refers to the following graph, showing rate of photosynthesis versus light intensity. Which of the following statements best account for the shape of the graph? We see the graph goes up and then it curves and tails off. So 17 we are going to choose as light intensity increases. There is an increase in photosynthesis until there is no other further increase in the rate due to some other limiting factor. C is our answer. Question 18, which of the following minerals is important for the formation of chlorophyll? And we know that is magnesium. In question 19, an enzyme is best described as a molecule which does what? Increases the rate of a chemical reaction but remains unchanged at the end of the reaction. Question 20, which of the following graphs show the effect of temperature on an enzyme-controlled reaction? And we just need to look for the appropriate graph, and that is D. Question 21. A 50-year-old male is advised by his doctor to reduce the amount of salt he consumes in his diet. If he ignores his doctor's advice, he has a high chance of developing hypertension. So a fancy word for high blood pressure, which salt contributes to. Item 22 refers to the following diagram of the respiratory system. Which of the labeled parts represents the rib? That would have to be 2. It's on the outside of the lungs, little circles. If they drew it according to scale, there should be 24. So B is our answer. Item 23 refers to the following equation, which shows the oxidation of glucose in cells. The energy released from the process above is, so we see this is, they told us, it's the oxidation of glucose, which means it's respiration. It releases energy, and that energy needs to be stored in high energy points in ATP. So the answer for 23 is D. Which of the following is not an effect of nicotine found in cigarettes? They are asking you for not an effect. Don't miss that capitalized word in 24, and it will be increased beating of cilia. Yeah. An amoeba obtains all the oxygen it needs via diffusion via its cell membrane, while a human needs to have a special respiratory surface for this purpose. The best explanation for this difference is that what's happening in question 25 is that the human surface area to volume ratio is too small for diffusion to be effective. D is our answer. Question 26. In heart bypass surgery, using an artery to bypass the blockage is advantageous over using a vein because arteries have thicker, more muscular walls than veins. Yeah, so it's less likely to burst or rupture, plus you get to do the sutures better. It holds on firmly. Question 27. The events list below are involved in clotting of blood. We have one fibrinogen is converted to fibrin. Okay, blood cells are trapped, platelets are activated, blood vessels are damaged. Which of the following is the correct sequence of events in clotting of blood? So the blood vessel needs to be damaged first. That triggers this process. So straight away for 27, you already see that the answer is D. Artificial immunity can best be described as immunity produced by deliberate exposure to a pathogen. This is one means of producing vaccines or vaccinations. It's artificial, meaning that it's man-made. So it's an intentional thing, which is deliberate. So B is our answer for 28. 29, under which conditions will the rate of transpiration in plants be highest? We want plenty sun and high wind speed, so we needed sunny and high wind speeds, which is B for 29. Question 30, in the transport of solutes in the phloem, the source is defined as any area of the plant where we have source and sinks. So the source is the starting point. So for 30, it's sucrose loaded into the phloem. Yeah, it's the starting point. They told you it was the phloem, so we know it has to be loaded into the phloem. Item 31 refers to the following diagram of a potato plant. Which part of the plant contains the most starch? We all know about eating potatoes, and it will have to be tree. These roots have very good storage organs for the potato plant. So 31 is C. On to question 32. Which of the following is not a form of excretion in plants? Again, that capitalized not. Take your time with this. Carbon dioxide diffusing in. Remember, we are asking about excretion. Excretion is the removal of metabolic waste. So, and we are looking for the opposite, so the not. So hence, this is the right answer. Which of the following correctly describes movement in plants? Movement in plants is irreversible. It could be part of the plant and it could be growth. So C is our answer. Question 34. Locomotion is an evolutionary adaptation performed by animals. What adaptations does this mechanism have over the type of movement that occurs in plants? The ability to move to favorable conditions, 1. The increased chance of predator attacks, 2. That doesn't sound correct. The ability to find food, 3. Yeah, that sounds correct. So we are looking for 1 and 3. Are there any with 1 and 3? We are looking for 34 as B. 35 refers to the following diagram illustrating the effects of light on a shoot under different conditions. After a few days, the tallest shoot would most likely be the one with the foil cap. The foil cap serves to block the light, so therefore auxins will accumulate under the tip, causing elongation of the plant. Hence, it will be the tallest one. So we are looking for 3, which is C. The role of an effector is to do what? An effector is, an example of an effector is like a muscle. So it's to respond to a stimulus. Item 37 refers to the following diagram of a spinal reflex. We see it here. It starts at the hand. This is the skin of the hand, which means they're talking about touch. We see so 2, then 1, then 3, then 1. So which of the following options give the correct names for the numbered structure? We already identified that 2 was sensory because it deals with sense organ, touch, in fact. Then we have 3, and then we have 1 going to the effector muscles, bicep muscles, and effector. So which puts 37 as C. Yeah. So we have 2, the sensory neuron, 3, the relay neuron, and 1, which is going to the bicep muscle, the motor neuron. Question 38, which of the following are functions? That is a typo or mistake in grammar. That question should read, which of the following are functions attributed to the brain? And if that is the question, then we could proceed with maintains posture, maintains balance, regulates temperature. If that is the question, then we know the brain does all 3. 39, which of the following factors does not contribute to the development of glaucoma in the eye? Vitamin A deficiency, that leads to night blindness, it's a real, but it does not contribute to glaucoma development. Item 40 refers to the following graph, which illustrates a measurement of growth in living organisms. Which of the following labels would be incorrect on the y-axis? For question 40, the incorrect one would be time. This is the y-axis here. Time should go on the x-axis. And you compare it with all the other things. This is the most incorrect. So it makes it the correct answer. Item 41 refers to the following activities involved in the menstrual cycle. We have repair of the uterine lining, ovulation, shedding of the uterine lining, development of the Graafian follicle. Which of the following sequences represent the order of activities in the menstrual cycle? Yeah, and 41, we are going with, let's see. Right, so the development of the Graafian follicle, the repair of the uterine lining, ovulation, shedding the uterine lining. Right, we need a specific order for this to occur. The production of new organisms from one parent only is known as, when it's one parent, it means we are talking about asexual reproduction. D is our answer for 42. Item 43 refers to the following diagrams of 2 specialized cells. Which of the following structures is common to both cells? You can just take your time, observe, and you would get the nucleus being common to. Which row in the following table correctly states the cause, treatment, control, and prevention of the disease AIDS? So if we look for the causative agent, again, we are already seeing the answer jumping out at us for 44 as B. Antiretrovirals are used in the treatment. Abstinence is a very good way to prevent it from happening. Item 45 refers to the following diagram of flowers from 2 different types of plants. Which of the following statements is true of the flowers? We see one with what looks like large petals. That tells you it's trying to attract animals. And this one, nice and dangly. It means wind. Wind is very valuable to this flower. And we look for one that says that or corresponds to that answer. So 45, we are going with A. 1 is pollinated by a hummingbird, and 2 is pollinated by you. Question 46, which of the following shows the correct sequence of seed formation after fertilization? We have the seed, which means we're talking about the ovule. We have the ovule, the zygote, embryo, seed. Question 47. A vector is defined as an organism that transmits a disease-carrying organism, but itself does not get the disease. 47, the answer is D. 48, which of the following forms of birth control is most likely to be 100% effective? And that will have to be the surgical methods. So we are looking at tubal ligation. That is the best. Question 49. A 60-year-old man has been diagnosed with hypertension as well as diabetes. Which of the following treatments would be most effective for the disease? Exercising and lowering the intake of salt and refined carbohydrates. A is our answer. Question 50. Which of the following best describes a chromosome? A structure made up of DNA wrapped around histones. 50. The answer is B. Question 51. Which of the following are examples of asexual reproduction? Is it budding, binary fission, vegetative propagation? We are looking at all of them for asexual reproduction. So D is our answer, 1, 2, and 3. Question 52. On a certain Caribbean island where sugarcane is grown, a fungus is accidentally introduced into the island and destroys the entire sugarcane crop. Which of the following best explains why the entire crop was destroyed by the fungus? There was no genetic variation among the plants, so none could survive the attack. D. 53. Which of the following statements about meiosis is not true? Read through your answers carefully and you would see that it doubles the number of chromosomes in gametes. That is not true. Not is a capitalized word, so we know we're looking for the one that it is not, which makes C the correct answer. 54. If a diploid organism has two different alleles for the same gene, it is described as being what? Heterozygous. Albinism in 55 is caused by a recessive allele. Two normal parents produce an albino child. This is because both parents had to have the recessive allele. The only way they could be normal and have the recessive allele is that they both have to be in the heterozygous state. So 55, the answer is B. Question 56. Two goats heterozygous for fast growth rate across what percentage of the entire F1 population would be expected to possess homozygous alleles? Homozygous alleles meaning the two alleles are the same. So they could be homozygous dominant or homozygous recessive. And with a heterozygous cross, it means it's 50%. So the answer is C for question 56. Question 57. Variation in a population is due to mutation, crossing over, asexual reproduction. It's not asexual reproduction, but it is mutation and crossing over, so it's 1 and 2 only. So 57 is A. Question 58. As a result of mitosis, each daughter cell has the same number of chromosomes as the parent. 58 is C. 59. Which of the following descriptions is true of natural and artificial selection? So both of them must be correct. So just read through and you will find that natural selection produces great biological diversity and artificial selection produces very different organisms from natural populations. That's correct because of man's influence that makes it artificial. Question 60 refers to the following diagram, which shows stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the production of insulin by genetic engineering. In which of the stages above can result in insulin being produced by the bacterium? That will be the final stage where it's produced. So number 4. And so making question 60D. And that brings us to the end of these 60 questions for Biology Paper 1 for June 2020.